What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel as well as on Twitch, so make sure you come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by my music, which is available anywhere you stream music under the name Aftersound, and I do have a new song coming out on Valentine's Day called Dreamin', so make sure you check it out. Let me know what you think, and I appreciate the support. All right, looks like I have a battle. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. This is probably going to ruin the video, but let's just roll with it anyway, and I'll come back to this page. Basically, what I want to talk about today is grain, and specifically the grain LP, because I think what you're going to find here is that we are actually doing a lot of volume lately, which means that the fees are high and the APR has actually been good, especially over the past 30 days. Now, let me do the math first, and I'm going to do it in front of you guys so that you can keep me honest in case there's anything weird. But $10,633. That is a 30-day trade activity, which is kind of wild, but it is what it is. So let's actually go here to the calculators, and we'll do 10,633. And what we want is so this is 30 days, right? So if we divide it by 30, that gives us about $354 worth of volume every day. Multiply this, right, by 0.05 because 5% gets burned. The other 5% goes as a payment to liquidity holders, right? So there's a 10% fee on all transactions. 5% gets burned. 5% gets paid out to liquidity holders. So that means $17.7 on average over the past 30 days. Each day has been paid out to liquidity providers. So here's the thing. See, I knew this was going to happen, but let's go ahead back to the pools page, and where is it? And grain. And we have about 32,020 is what we'll call it in terms of the total amount of capital or liquidity provided. So we're going to divide this 17.7 divided by 32,020, and that gets you 0.0005 as your daily percentage rate. So you multiply this by the 365 days in a year, and check it out. Over the past 30 days, grain has been paying out a 20% APR on average. That's kind of wild to think about. I mean, it was significantly less. I remember doing a video maybe a couple months back, and it was only like, I don't know, like the 3 to 5% range. But with this added activity that we've seen recently, it's been pretty good. So let's actually talk about this added activity, right? We've had a lot of people loading up on grain, and it's actually brought the price of grain up, which is probably a reason why this 30-day trade activity, the fees earned, all these numbers are, I don't want to say somewhat inflated. I mean, they're definitely higher now because grain is valued higher, but maybe this is the price of where grain should be, right? So let's actually go over here because now I'm curious. What is the price of one grain? 0.013. It essentially doubled overnight when I think Vug just came and bought a bunch, right? So here's the thing. If it's already at 20% right now, what happens when people actually need it on a regular basis? Meaning that once Land 1.75 rolls out, and all of my plots are switched to wood, for example, I'm going to need some grain, which means I'm going to have to go to the market and start buying it just like everybody else that doesn't have grain, right? So that's going to be really interesting. And I do think that the volume, if it's showing at 20% right now, the volume is only going to increase, which means those fees should go higher, which means that the APR should go higher, which if it does, keep in mind that markets are quite efficient. If the APR starts to get to a ridiculous amount, and maybe 20% is already ridiculous now that this video is going to convince someone, we're going to see more liquidity put into the pool. Right now, we're sitting at about 22 million DEC, right, in like 1.9 billion grain. But if there is going to be a lot more volume happening and the fees are good and the returns are good, well, hey, I mean, you might see more DEC get locked up in this pool. And locked up isn't the right word. More DEC entered into the pool, which is great because the more that comes in, the less that's out there circulating around. And obviously, the more volume that happens, the more DEC that we're burning over time. Not to mention that there are also going to be 3 additional pools added in for each of the other natural resources that are coming in. If those are all at the same level of liquidity, right, meaning that there's about $30,000, $32,000, we should see about 66 million, maybe 60 to 70 million DEC wiped out of circulation. Well, I shouldn't say wiped out, taken out of circulation and thrown into the pools just to match what's happening in the grain market, right? But again, this is all looking at the grain market now with the 1.5 lens. What we have to wait and see is what happens when the 1.75 lens does come into play. So I'm curious to know your thoughts on this. I'll go ahead and leave the video here just because I'll keep it short and sweet. I just want to share the numbers with you guys and see if anybody else is following this and maybe wanting to add some liquidity in themselves. Now, the latest update that we have, I believe, from Cryptomancer is that Land 1.75 is still on track for Q1. I do believe he put a video out, not a video, but he put a an update out recently. So let me go ahead and check that, and if it's worth doing a video on, then we can do a video. But I remember hearing that 1.75 is still on track for Q1, which is like 6 weeks. we're like 6 weeks away from the end of Q1, so that could be pretty exciting. So that is all I have for you guys in the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.